We are in the fourth mantra of Sri Isopanishad. So let me get that up on the screen for you. And once again, we are using the BBT edition of Sri Isopanishad, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Let's go through the 18 verses of the Isopanishad once more. I would love for everyone who is attending these evening gatherings to have a good handle on what the Isopanishad is so that you can explain it to your students, friends, colleagues, and so on. The invocation we have discussed is the establishing of Om as the primordial sound and a complete whole from which all emanations are also perfect and complete. So the world around us can sustain life. It is perfect and complete because it is an emanation from the complete whole, Isha, or the Supreme Being. Mantra 1 describes that that's a typo there. There's no need to hoard, H-O-A-R-D, I believe is how it's spelled, isn't it? That everything needed for life is being provided, and therefore we do not need to be concerned for our own maintenance. Mantra 2 described that is a content life that is respectful of that relationship and sees Isha, or the Supreme Being, reflected in all others. Yesterday we discussed Atmahana, the killer of the soul, meaning someone who neglects the spiritual dimension of his life. Today's mantra describes that there is a source to all of nature's energies. We'll discuss the different energies in a moment, internal, external, and marginal. Next mantra is that Ishvara has no material qualities, that one should not assume that because the bhakti texts describe the supreme source of everything as having personality, that personality or form have anything to do with the forms and personalities that we know in the material world. The 6th and 7th mantras also describe the benefit of this understanding, this knowledge, that there's never a need to feel inimical toward any other living being once we understand that all beings are divine sparks in this world as we are struggling with their material nature. 8th mantra again repeats that the Supreme Being has no material body, that Supreme Being is within us, antaryami, the Sanskrit term meaning witness within the heart. The 9th mantra describes that not knowing this, knowing only the material side of our existence, is dangerous because it leaves us open to a misunderstanding of how to live effectively in this life free from danger. The 10th and 11th mantras describe the importance of cultivating material and spiritual knowledge together, side by side. So it's not that the world is rejected, it's that along with the understanding of the material world and how those energies are operating, we simultaneously cultivate an understanding of the invisible world, the world that cannot be calculated, observed, or analyzed with material empiric tools. The 12th mantra describes that there is a risk to impersonal meditation. And when we get there, we'll describe why impersonal meditation is so attractive, why it is that one might be drawn to the idea of merging into a totality of oneness rather than retaining individuality. And it's a psychological condition that we'll discuss when we get there. The 13th mantra describes the importance of a teacher in helping distinguish truth from illusion, that our own abilities to go past the limits of our intellect negate the possibility of approaching ultimate truth on our own. It must be a guided effort. The 14th mantra describes that, I'm sorry for all these typos, if you know good, and if you know God, that you surpass death. 15th mantra, this gets personal now. The last 4 mantras of Isopanishad, the speaker comes out from behind the curtain, so to speak, and is no longer this detached, intellectual, presenter of Vedic philosophy. It gets immediately very, very personal in the 15th mantra. Please remove that effulgence. Remember the verse before, that in verse 12, impersonal meditation is dangerous. Here, the person on the point of death is saying, please remove that effulgence, that impersonal aspect, so that I can understand you in your personal form. The 16th mantra is a reiteration of the desire of the speaker to see God in person, face to face. And the next to last mantra goes even deeper, where the person speaking is kind of admitting that I may have fallen short in my spiritual life. Maybe I haven't done a very good job in this life. I don't deserve to know you. But I'm asking you, please don't forget me. Please allow me, despite my limitations and my imperfections, to come close to you. And then the final mantra, which is a pratiti, a full surrender of self. I fall now at your feet. Kindly save me. It's a heart-rending plea at the end of this extraordinarily powerful 18 mantras of Isopanishad. Here's mantra 4, which we can chant together. I'll recite one line by line. You're welcome to repeat it with me. Anejad ekang manaso javiyo. Try that. Anejad ekang manaso javiyo. Nainad devap nuvan purvam arshat. Nainad devap nuvan purvam arshat. Tad davato nyan atyeti tishtat. Tad
davato nyan atyeti tishtat.
Tasmin napo matarishva dadati. Now, this is one of the verses that doesn't fit quite so neatly into the standard melody that we use. So bear with me. I'll try to make this something we can all do together. Aneja dekang manaso javiyo. Try that.
Anekam manaso javiyo.
Nena devap nuvan purva marshat.
Nena devap nuvan marshat.
Tadhavato nyan atyeti tishtat.
Tadhavato nyan atyeti tishtat.
Tasmin apo matarishva dadati.
Tasmin apo matarishva dadati.
I encourage you to try these verses on your own, and also to read the commentaries. The purports in the book are quite revealing. What I try to do in our sessions is to give you a summary, because we have so little time together. But let me encourage you to read the purports or commentaries on each of these. Here are the things. Anejat, fixed. Ekam, one. Eka, like ekadanda, one stick. Or ekadasi, 10 plus 1, the 11th day of the waning and waxing moon. Manasa, then the mind. As in mantra, manastraya, the liberation from the mind through its transcendental sound. Javiya, more swift, na, not. Enat, this supreme Lord. Deva, the demigods like Indra and others. Apnuvan, can approach. Purvan, in front. Arshat, moving quickly. Tat, he. Davata, those who are running. Anyad, others. Atyeti, surpasses. Tishtat, remaining in one place. Tasmin, in him. Apa, rain. Matarishva, gods of wind and rain. Dadati, supply. Translation of mantra 3. This is mantra 4, isn't it? Again, I apologize for all the typos. Although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place, he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. Mantra 4, once again, although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place, he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. Well, in between the words here, you can get a hint of a kind of adulation. The speaker is offering words of appreciation, not just to some abstract force, but these are qualities of a person. There are three basic categories of energy described in the Sanskrit text. Antaranga Shakti is the internal energy. That is to say, Krishna himself, expansions from within that Vishnu Tattva category, the eternal spiritual world. These are all the internal energy of the Supreme Being. They do not fall under the influence of the material energy Maya. Bahiranga Shakti is that external energy, which is also divine. This is in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Duratyaya. This energy, Devi Hiyeshu Gunamayi, Mama Maya, this is also my energy. The material energy is divine in that it also emanates from Krishna, but the material world is a temporary reality. That's what distinguishes it from Antaranga Shakti, where everything is eternal. We living beings are Tatastha Shakti. Tata refers to the imaginary line that we see when we're on the beach. Waves come up onto the sand, and for a while that sand is covered. The waves roll out again, and the sand is again exposed. Tatastha, Tata refers to that line, that imaginary line where the ocean water hits the beach. As marginal energy, we living beings have a tendency to become overwhelmed by the material energy, and then again that energy rolls back and we are liberated from that energy. So we have that possibility of going back and forth between the material and spiritual realms. So we're called marginal. I wanted to put this image up on the screen. When we speak of Krishna, we're speaking of a person. And one of the beautiful dimensions of bhakti theology is that Krishna is never alone. He's always with his devotees. He's always with his entourage, his eternal realm where he dwells in the eternal world. And he is always with Radha. The image of divinity described in the bhakti texts is of God in female and male form together. These two energies are always with one another. And there is no higher or lower. If anything, there is a slightly higher position ascribed to Radha, since she is the embodiment of devotion to Krishna. The one thing that can defeat God is love of God. There's no power greater than God, but God himself is subservient to those who love him. And Radha is the embodiment of that loving devotion to Krishna. So in a sense, she has a bit of an edge over him because he always does whatever she wants. The picture on your screen of Dhriti on the left and Ramdas, her partner, on the right, these are the artists behind this beautiful painting of Radha and Krishna. They live in California, and I have a particular affection for them and for the work they do. So I thought it would be wonderful to show you one of their paintings as a reminder that we are being Upanisha. The Isopanishad is bringing us closer to Isha. And who is that Isha? Well, now you're seeing that Isha. The goal of yoga is entrance into the heart, by which we mean the spiritual heart of our eternal being, where we can have a direct darshan or vision of ultimate truth in the form of Radha and Krishna. I'm going to now come out of this stop share. Let's see if I can get back up on the screen. Is that it? We're good? Okay. My lifetime organizer here, Anuradha, is teaching me little by little how to operate this Zoom function. So I'm curious to know, have you had a chance to review the summaries that we've been sending out? And do you have some questions about this fourth mantra? And I hope you're seeing the progress in the mantras, how Isopanishad is bringing us from an abstract, you might almost say intellectual, understanding of the source of all creation, deeper and deeper and deeper to a place where it becomes an emotional appeal to want to be with that Supreme Being, and this yearning at the time of death to be worthy of that. I have a question here from Julie. In Mantra 4, he seems to be used often, the pronoun he. Is Ishwara really a he? Is Ishwara and Krishna the same? Because based on what you said, there is always both male Krishna and female Radha. Yes, we refer to Krishna as the Supreme Being. He is known as the operative principle, the enjoying principle, Purusha. All other beings are Prakriti, that is to say, subservient. Anuradha and I were having this discussion earlier today. It seems to be so difficult sometimes to accept the idea that our ultimate goal is to become subservient, that there is a female quality that almost seems cliched of being Prakriti, the enjoyed, and that it is Krishna, the Supreme Purusha, who is the enjoyer. Doesn't that seem somewhat chauvinistic? Isn't that a kind of paternalistic view of creation? On its face, it may seem that way. Going deeper into the nature of that relationship of the soul and the Supreme Being, however, we find that those material impediments or qualifiers fall away. We ascribe negative qualities to someone being superior and someone being below that person, because in this world, it's an exploitive position to be in. It's slavery, it's servitude. In love, according to Rupa Goswami and the other great writers of the Bhakti theology, that sense of I am yours and you are mine, your happiness is my happiness. There is no happiness for me if you are not happy. There's the story of Krishna pretending to have a headache. I think we might have sent that out in one of our newsletters. He told his messenger, he said, well, the only thing that will cure me is if I can have the dust from the feet of my devotees on my head. That'll cure my headache. Now, the protocol in the Vedic culture is you never put your feet on someone's head, let alone the dust from your feet. That's considered a great insult. The feet are the lowest part of the body. They're the ones the feet are always in touch with dirt and unclean places. To take dust from your feet and put it on someone's head is insulting. But here's Krishna pretending to have a headache and saying, the only thing that's going to cure me is dust from the feet of my devotees. So the messenger goes and asks the Brahmins, the intellectuals, Krishna has a headache and he needs the dust from your feet. And they all say, no, are you kidding? We'll go to hell for that kind of behavior. You'll have to leave, please. We can't do that. Krishna says to the messenger, try the gopis, ask them and see what happens. He goes to the gopis and the gopis hear, and almost before the messenger's words are out of his mouth, they bend down, scrape dust from their feet, hand it to him and say, go and give this to Krishna immediately. Don't wait. And the messenger says, aren't you concerned about the repercussions for that kind of insulting behavior? And they said, it doesn't matter. If this is what will cure his headache, just go. So there's no concern for one's own well-being in that higher realm of a loving exchange. I don't know whether anyone has that kind of experience in this world. Perhaps the closest is the love of a parent for a child. And no matter what the child does, the parent still loves the child ideally. So yes, Julie, the answer to your question is there is a he in spiritual life, but it's not the kind of chauvinistic he that we may ascribe to the he, she of the material world. I'm not sure that answers your question. It's a complex one, but I'm doing my best here. And then Ananda Vilas reminds us that the word for energy in Sanskrit are mostly feminine. Shakti, Prakriti. Yes. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Other questions? You're welcome to unmute your mic if you'd like to ask your questions live.
Prabhu, one comment about that last discussion. I think you nailed it when you talked about what we bring to those words culturally. A word like subservient, but I always thought it was a beautiful idea, this idea of being subservient to your lover, right? And what kind of love that takes when you become so vulnerable that you place yourself in someone's arms, in someone's care, and the trust that takes, and the feeling that is a result of allowing yourself to become that vulnerable and having that honored by the trust. That's love. That's the feeling, that's the fuel that love receives, right? And when I've looked at it that way, it's been much easier for me, because we have this automatic thing where subservient is bad, but subservient is beautiful given the proper relationship.
Thank you. You've said the right thing. It's a matter of trust. My experience talking with people about the world of Krishna Bhakti has been that the reluctance has been because they've never known a situation where they could entrust themselves to someone completely. Every time I've tried to give my love, my heart's been broken to pieces. And here you want me to give myself in trust to someone who's a supreme being, will have total control over me. Why would I do that? Where's the evidence that I actually can trust this person? It's a very, very difficult assignment, which is why there's all kinds of admonishments and warnings. Don't leap up to some higher level of realization than you are capable of understanding. When we look at the love of Krishna and the gopis, it's just going to bewilder us. It's impossible to understand how people can trust each other to that extent. If anyone treated you the way Krishna treats the gopis, you'd run away. You wouldn't have anything to do with that kind of a relationship. But the ecstasy of that kind of trust is something beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding.
But we even see that sometimes among friends who like diss each other, right? But that's sort of their rasa. That's the flavor of their relationship. I'll insult you and you insult me. But in some ways, that's the love that they share.
Sure. If the foundation is strong, you can get away with a lot. A lot of bad jokes, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of poking fun. That's all possible if there's a real solid foundation of love. Perhaps in battle, maybe soldiers in battle develop that kind of trust for their team, where, I put my life in your hands. I trust you with my life. But it's only very extreme circumstances like that. Normally, we don't know it in this world. It's there may be some couples who come close to that, who have such trust in each other that there isn't anything they can't say or do, or that the other person can ask of them that they wouldn't gladly oblige. But it's rare. It's certainly rare. Yeah. Can you please say, I have a question here, can you please say a few words on Tatastha Shakti? Well, it's yes, welcome to the life of the tiny little conditioned soul, where we're being buffeted about by the material energy. We're by nature immortal. Actually, nothing can hurt us. We're eternal spirit souls, and you never become so conditioned, you never become so bad. There's nothing that you can do that's so terrible that your soul loses its inherent immortality. It's always there. It just needs to be revived. So, Prabhupada gives the example of a diamond that's fallen into mud. The inherent quality of the diamond is there. It just needs to be cleansed. All of the bad conditioning has to be taken off. So we have bad habits. We've been here a very, very long time. I think I've given this example before, that somebody up at Jiva Mukti came to me once and said, I've been chanting for 6 months and I still haven't seen Krishna. We've been conditioned for millions and millions and millions of births. No, it takes a long time. Our conditioning is very, very deep. So that marginal energy doesn't mean that we are in danger ultimately. On a foundational level, we will always be eternal spirit souls, and eventually we will come out of this conditioned state. The question is how long you want to take to do it. If we're sincere, we can come to that point of clarity in this one lifetime, or it can take many, many lifetimes. Here, the speaker of Isopanishad is saying, my whole life I've attempted to know you. My whole life I've been serving you. I know it hasn't been enough. Please don't kick me away. Please don't forget me. After a lifetime of service, it's an extraordinary text. It's almost like a spiritual diary. It's like someone revealing their innermost fear, that even though I've been chanting for so long, even though I've been trying so desperately to be a good devotee, I'm not making the grade. I know that. I'm not up to the mark yet. I'm not where I should be. I want my spiritual master to be proud of me. I want to be a good example to others. I'm not there yet. My dear Lord, please keep me. Don't kick me away. Let me do something for you. Make my life meaningful. Give me something to do for you. That depth of prayer is what makes the chanting of the Maha Mantra rich and meaningful. So, yeah.
So, if I may say one more thing, ask one more thing. We're marginal energy. We're also seen as the internal energy, right? As opposed to matter, which is the external energy. So the internal energy is always talked about as being the superior energy, and the external energy is the inferior energy. So can you say anything about how it is that the superior energy can succumb to the inferior energy?
Yeah, that's one of the great mysteries. Mm-hmm. How is it that a soul, a spark of God, can somehow become forgetful and materialistic and go through cycles of birth and death? How is it even possible? If a spark of God is not different from God in quality, how do we come under the influence of the material energy? The best thing, I asked Prabhupada, fortunately, I asked him that question, and here's the answer he gave me. He said, imagine a rich person who lives in a fancy house and has a private chef and a private kitchen. Every day, this person has rich, elaborate, tasty dishes. And one day, this rich person goes to the chef and says, for a change, can you make me a bowl of chip rice? Now, chip rice is what it sounds like. It's the grains, the broken grains of rice that fall to the bottom of the rice sack. And they're cheaper because they're broken. It's a poor man's meal. still, we like variety and we're curious to know something other than what we're familiar with. So there is that opportunity because we share God's qualities. We have some of God's independence. This is in the purport of this verse today. Read that purport. We do not lose our, what Prabhupada calls initiative or free will. So that we have this opportunity to say, I wonder what it would be like to live not with God, but like God. And at that moment, the eternal, immortal, immutable, eternally the same soul comes into a condition provisionally where those eternal qualities are covered over for some time. It's essentially, the world is essentially a playground where curious souls get to act out their fantasies until they decide, I've had enough, I'm ready to go home.
A great answer in 2.5 minutes.
And on that note, thank you all very much for joining us once again for our half-hour Isopanishad discussion. I love your questions. I want some of the others out there, and you know who you are, to come to the discussion tomorrow and ask questions. All right, will you do that? Good. All right, thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you for your company, for your sincere efforts in devotional life. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Bye, everybody.